Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're diving into Sri Aurobindo's incredible interpretation of the Bhagavad Gita. And we're not going to treat this like some dusty ancient text. Nope. We're looking at it as a real, practical guide for the battles, big and small, that we all fight in our lives today.
And that really brings us to the core question, doesn't it? It's a question I think every single one of us has asked at some point. In a world that is just so full of conflict and confusion, how do we know what the right thing to do actually is? This is the exact problem the Gita grabs by the horns.
So, let's start where the Gita starts, with its hero, Arjuna, and the massive crisis he's facing. And as you're about to see, his dilemma on that ancient battlefield is, well, it's probably going to feel pretty familiar.
So here you have Arjuna. He's a warrior, a guy who's supposed to be all about action, but he is totally and completely paralyzed. He's about to fight a battle against his own family, and his whole sense of right and wrong, his entire moral compass, has just shattered. He's begging his guide, Krishna, for just one clear answer to cut through all the noise. Sound familiar?
That's because, for Sri Aurobindo, this battlefield isn't just a physical place in a story. It's a metaphor for our own lives. You know that feeling? It's that internal war when your job demands one thing, but your heart tells you another. Or when the ideals you believe in crash head-on with the messy, complicated real world. That is the battlefield. So what do you do when you're frozen like that? Well, the Gita tells us we have to look past the two most obvious answers, either running away from the problem altogether or just gritting your teeth and blindly following the rules. And you can really see these two dead-end paths laid out here. On one side, you've got renunciation. Just dropping everything, heading for the hills, and pretending the problem doesn't exist. But that's not a solution, it's just avoidance. Then on the other side, you have the rigid path of duty. Just do what you're told, follow the social code. But that can turn you into a robot, completely cut off from your own inner guidance.
But the Gita, in Aurobindo's eyes, points to a third way. The real solution isn't about changing what you do on the outside. It's an inner ascesis. It's a deep, fundamental rewiring of your entire consciousness.
So this brings us to the secret of true action. Okay, if the real change is happening on the inside, how does that actually change what we do in the world? Well, the Gita says first, you've got to understand the hidden forces of nature that are pulling the strings inside you all the time. These forces are called the three gunas. You can kind of think of them as the basic psychological ingredients of our experience. There's sattva, that's the quality of harmony, clarity, and peace. Then there's rajas, that's the fiery energy of action, passion, and struggle. And finally, there's tamas, the heavy quality of inertia, confusion, and darkness. Our moods, our personality, what drives us, it's all just a constant shifting dance between these three forces.
So, the big question is, how do you stop getting jerked around by these forces? The path is all about a huge shift in perspective. First, you just recognize that it's the gunas doing the acting, not your true self. Then, you learn to detach from the results. You do the work for its own sake, not because you're hooked on success or terrified of failure. And finally, you become the witness, that calm, centered part of you that just observes the show, knowing that a higher power is the real one in charge. And this quote, wow, it just nails what that freedom feels like. When you're standing on that higher ground, you can see the storms of passion and the spells of laziness for what they are. They are not you. They're just movements in nature, or prakriti, as the Gita calls it, and you can stay completely centered through it all.
Now here's where things get really expansive. Once you start to find that inner freedom, your entire perception of the world just cracks wide open. You begin to see the divine not just in the good, peaceful stuff, but in absolutely everything.
The Gita calls this the vibhuti, the divine glory shining through all of creation. Krishna says he is the best of everything, the sun, the ocean, the lion. He is the very consciousness inside every living being. It's this beautiful way of saying that the divine isn't hiding somewhere else. It's the peak expression of everything that's right here in front of us. But, and this is maybe the toughest pill to swallow, it's not just about seeing God in the beautiful things. It's also about seeing the divine in the terrifying and destructive parts of life. Time, that eats all things alive. Nature, and its brutal cycle of birth and death. These too are faces of God. See, to be truly free, you can't just accept the parts of reality you like. You have to embrace the whole package. Spiritual freedom isn't about escaping the darkness of the world. It's about seeing the one single light that is shining through both the darkness and the light.
And all of this has been building to one single point. We're at the climax of the Gita's teaching, what Krishna calls the greatest, most profound secret of all. After all this deep philosophy and psychology, you might expect the ultimate answer to be some really complicated technique or another tough rule to follow. But it's not.
It isn't something you do, it's something you have to become. It's a complete transformation of your entire being, from the inside out.
And here it is. This supreme secret is total unconditional surrender. It's giving up your whole self, your ego, your plans, your ideas of how things should be, and placing all of it into the hands of that higher power.
The phrase in the text is Sarva Dharman Parityajya. It means abandon all dharmas. Now, this doesn't just mean give up your bad habits. It means you have to let go of your most cherished ideas of what's right and wrong, too. You throw away your personal rulebook and just become a clean, clear instrument for a will that is much, much bigger than your own.
And so we end up flipping that very first problem completely on its head. Arjuna's crisis, his paralysis on that battlefield, it wasn't an obstacle on his spiritual journey, it was the journey. And that leaves us with a final question for you. What if that biggest, most confusing, most painful struggle in your life right now isn't a problem you need to solve, but the very door to your own freedom?